Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, today I'm actually going to talk about something that is quite an inconvenience, and I'm just going to talk about it in general perspectives. Now, overall, games do have problems, right? We do know that there. But recurring problems, well, that's another topic altogether. It's something which I don't think many people will be able to defend on the part of any developer. But yeah, here we go. So looking at my storage, you can see that it is quite full. And here's something small. zero point 0.3 definitely can fit in here and invalid transaction. Do it again, cannot drop mission item. As you can see, it is not one of my quest or mission items. These are all labeled. They've decided to block off these items from the list. Now, let's go back to the market and let's look at one or two things. You can still purchase items from the furniture making. I just believe that you can't put them up on the market for sale. They're going to burden you at the moment and they definitely cause an encumbrance. Okay, so let's go into housing furniture. Let's go into buffs and trophies. Now I'm responsible for all of these trophies. Obviously, I'm going to have to get onto the market and put on new trophies after this. But as you can see, 180, 180, 180, 180. They're quite good trophies, to be honest. Harvesting, I might just throw a couple of those on later. Logging, I'll throw a couple of those. Angry Earth Combat. Oh wait, these are basic trophies. Minor, no. Okay, all of these are minor and those are basics. I will be able to do basics soon, but let's just open out the entire market to show you. Now, with all these trophies comes one of the most key and important things for you to remember. You actually have to use your trophies in conjunction with each other. I'm saying conjunction, sorry. Conjunction with each other so that you can actually get the best result in objects that you are doing within the game. By having these disabled, they literally messing up your ability to fight. And this isn't a small thing, it's actually a massive thing to actually think about. If you can't jump into, let's see, let's give a place. If you can jump into, let's see, if you can jump into the depths with the corruption trophy is active, that means that you lose 10% DPS as a DPS. As a tank, that means you lose 10% of your aggro ability because excess DPS on top of your threat generation increases your threat level. So you're losing your threat in that manner. You have physical resistance buffs all already stacked. Everything is perfect for you. You have one or two additional buffs placed into your houses with the right trophies. All of a sudden they've taken that away from you. And this isn't a small thing overall because losing these basic skills, I'm not even talking about things going much further than this, just losing this little bit makes a huge impact to your next set in game. So let's talk about it as a piece by piece so that we can give a general idea on how this is such a negative for us to go through. When you lose your ability to produce um, results in these activities, you're actually losing playtime. You're losing your ability to complete the game. You're losing your ability to do efficient runs. Example depth, as I said, with the perfect team who's running the perfect sets, perfect gear, you can complete that in about 15 minutes. Now, let's say, for example, we had a full level 60 team running the total corrupted not gear set, the total corrupted trophy set at the houses, perfect gem sets to do excess damage, perfect weapons for the corrupted enemies they're going to face. You need heavy DPS, you need hunt style weapons. They're definitely going to help you against the corrupted. You don't need slash type. Slash type does well against ancient enemies. It does well against Angry Earth. So let's think about that carefully. Let's realign it. We go into the depth. We don't have corruption, this stuff. And let's count it as a team. There are 5 members to form a team. That means you lose 50% of your output DPS. 50% DPS in an activity can make a big difference. As I said, it can take 15 minutes with the right team. So let's reduce that, not reduce, let's increase that 15 minutes by 50%. That is a 22.5 minute activity. Now, in 22.5 minutes, it's only 7.5 minutes that was lost. But let's count it as a four-piece completion. There is four completions with 15 minutes, that's 1 hour. Four completions with 20 plus minutes is over 1.5 hours. That means you literally lost two additional completions. On the side of the game, that is not a loss to the developers, but on the side of the players, that's a massive no-no. Now, how do the developers make up for these inconveniences? They don't. I'd have to defer back to mobile MMORPGs. Now, bear with it, mobile MMORPGs are lower budget, lower cost, less development staff. They generally free to play, and that's the overall aspect of it. Free to play, right? So no massive income from the generation of the game. Lower staff, so less members to their staffing teams. Profit wise, it was probably in the same league as this game, regardlessly. But there is something that all mobile MMORPGs do. They live up to their mistakes. So, what would I say is a fair thing to do in the case of this game? Well, introduce some type uh, of a system to make up for your silly little mistakes. Improve the market a little bit more. You know what? They did try with taking off a single dupe, right? Duplication, dupe. They took off a single one and then they found out there was another one. I only found out after I had made sales on the market. I got a little bit rich, right? As you can see, my balance is sitting upwards of 5,000. It means that I haven't purchased materials and put things back on. If not, there'd be about eight trophies, not trophies, sorry, eight chests on the market at minimum. That's 4,000 gold. That'll put me down to 3,000 something. Going out and getting all the aged wood, all of the other materials added in. Not that much. It'll take me about half an hour or so. And I'll have quite a good amount of overall XP. Now, let's just look at the map's overall aesthetic. What are the other side effects of this massive lockdown in terms of a simple thing in this manner? Well, here comes three major problems caused by the simple lockdown. Number one, by locking down the ability to sell and change your furnishings, they slow down the markets. Now, I know they've talked about mergers and the amount of coin returned to a company. It's not fair. It's simply not fair. If they decide, for example, Turner Gog is to merge with Hades, I'm not on Turner Gog and I'm not on Hades, and they decide that Turner Gog is going to merge into Hades and not Hades into Turner Gog. So everybody on Hades keeps their settlements, and let's say that the highest level settlement in Hades was Morningdale with a level 45, what do they call it? Capital, right? Level 45 capital was only Morningdale. While on Turner Gog, it's Everfall, Windsward, uh, Monarch's Bluff, Cutlass Keys, First Light, Reekwater, Weaver's Ven, right? A lot of fully formed capital cities. The cost on those cities is insane. Just to talk about working it up, those cities as capitals will cost you upwards of 250,000 in upkeep a week, right? 250,000. You jump over. Remember, it's quite a big income that you're losing during this period. You jump over, and your faction holds all the cities that you once held, right? You have a massive dominance now on the server. There isn't anything to fight you. What do? Can you get a city back? Can you get the income back? Is your company still going to have the same overall hierarching aspect. No, you're actually going to need to have internal wars. They're going to have to make you fight for control of the cities on the merge. Just simply dropping your control and making your merge isn't a fair thing. They should make it faction versus faction internal conflict, civil war, once off fights when the merge occurs. So it'll be Covenant versus Covenant, or Marauders versus Marauders, or Marauders versus Covenant if it's an unlucky one when you're jumping into the same city on a merge. They should make it earned merges. And in order to make sure that it doesn't become unfair, because some teams can hold 3 cities, some teams can hold 4 cities, depending on how good they are. And they will separate their war times so that 2 wars don't fall in the same territory times. It's kind of a problem with this map. I have to admit that I've seen it happen several times already. Invasions, wars at the exact same time. It's a conflict of time, and it's just not called for. They could have worked it out with a lot better of a plan instead of making it so inconvenient for players. So yeah, that's the overall aspect that I'm talking about in terms of the lack of foresight again from a developer. Are these hard problems to solve? Well, actually no. All they've got to do is make sure that schedules aren't allowed to conflict. That isn't something difficult at all. Dual scheduling is what they're allowing, which is more complex than singular scheduling. Singular scheduling is available since 1990, 1992, maybe. That's how old the technology is for single schedule. But yeah, that's all they've got to do. Drop back to our old code format and put it into the game. So yeah, that's just my way of insulting the lack of intelligence for this part. Now, on the path of duplications, duplications aren't generally going to be something that is found out by every single player. Example, I'm selling items on the market and a dupe happened which I didn't notice. How would I know? I'm not paying attention to my market that carefully. I know that I have limited items because it's furnishing items right now, and that it's diminishing slowly and surely, disappearing from the market. And then in 2 or 3 days, I can flood the market again in the 2 regions where the companies that I support are in. So I'll go and I'll flood those markets with trophies again. But that's just besides the point. That's just the start of this craziness. So let's move on to the next aspect of this insanity. Looking at this map, there are multiple things that are also inconvenient, such as fast travel costs. Now, I understand the reason for it, right? Looking at this, it's going to cost me 464 to travel 2 kilometers down the map. And then I'm just going to show you something even more hilarious. It only costs me 30 less with the distance reduction of half. Now, obviously, distance cost is 0 here, right? Base cost is 50 and encumbrance cost is 384. Let's open this one. Right, as you can see, there's a 30 distance cost because I have an extra distance to cover. The encumbrance cost should be related to your distance cost. It shouldn't be related to how much of weight you're actually carrying. Right? It's not like I can jump while totally encumbered. I'm just jumping with a figure of weight that is reasonable. So that should have been worked out a little bit better. It's a little bit off if you ask me. Is it broken? No, not really. It's just a little bit infuriating because theoretically speaking, let's just say that you burden yourself out maximum. You'd have to do it in any place besides your call home, right? Since this is my recall to in, you can have up to up to 4 recalls on the map. Your 3 houses and you're in for recall. So that's giving you 4 locations to travel to. And when you think about it all the way down, if you're going to do this here and you're going to keep jumping around to try and weed off weight, it's kind of pointless. Now, you saw the distance cost, and as I was saying, it would make more sense in another method. So let's just go to what I have discovered when it comes to holding your properties. Look at this property over here, right? If I held Everfor, Reekwater is 1, Windswood is 1, Monarch's Bluff is 1, Evanscale is 1, Brightwood is 1, Weaver's Bend is 1. You literally cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 territories, and your seventh is there. You only have 3 territories remaining, 4 territories remaining outside of your control. If you go Morningdale, right, you still have Weaver's Bend, you still have Restless Shore, and you also have Eden Grove on your fast travels. Right, that's simple. If you come down to the bottom and you go Cutlass Keys, or you go First Light, whichever way it is, you're still just as cheap as you were in the other region, but you now have a complete map coverage. You just have these two unselected. Since Shattered Mountain is the highest level area, and as you can see, there are roads leading out into new areas that are going to appear, I would suggest holding your next fort up here in Shattered Mountain. Now, if you do this as your recall to in, you literally covered the entire map with a single distance. So your 3 recalls to in must be where you're dumping massive weight. So you do it to get rid of weight, and then you recall to your main inn. Okay, recall to house across 3 cities, then recall to your inn, and then you can jump to wherever you're going to go. Because end game is literally Requarter, Eben Scale, Shattered Mountain. Those are your 3 endgame locations. Eden's Grove, Great Cleave, Morningdale, Restless Shore, they're all intermediate level zones. Even Weaver's Bend is in an intermediate level zone, but I'm not even counting it. At the bottom here, Cutlass Keys is an entry level zone. First Light is an entry level zone. Windsward, Monarch's Bluff, Everfall, all entry level zones. Brightwood is a mid entry level zone. It's heading up towards 35, so it isn't really that important to hold on to it. Now, if you get what I'm saying, that literally puts it into perspective for you. Where I suggested that you're holding your recalls to inns are just places where you can easily have maxed out capitals. Where I'm saying that you're going to call your recall for the end game is really going to be the best slots for players. If you're coming all the way up to Shattered Mountain, you know what? You're going to be doing high-end activities. There's plenty of high-end activities. Oh, it actually showed the levels there. Level 63, level 65, fantastic. You come up to Eden's Grove, you're going to get Genesis. Wait, where's Genesis? I lost it. Oh no, there's it. The Garden of Genesis. It's a fantastic area to go to. Fantastic mission to complete. You come down over here. Oh, wrong place. One of these two is actually Lazarus. So that's one of your others. If you come onto the other side, here's Depths. Right, mine is actually completed. I need to hand in the mission. It's one of the other top class areas for you to actually do something in the game. This is an elite zone, this is an elite zone, and this is also an elite zone, but it's really not that difficult to complete. So yeah, there we go. I showed you several elite zones. I showed you the dynasty. I showed you all of these things in just a small little part. But what is so important about Shattered Mountains? Well, here is the Abusti Inferno Caminus. There's another 2 more zones over here, and there's all the Orichalcium veins. Also, these high level portals are fantastic for you to level weapons, right? If you are doing leveling of weapons, taking up a team over there, swapping up your activities in the team. Example, if you're looking to level up weapons, tank swaps with DPS, DPS swaps with tank. You're generally going to have the goal to do it. You pull it off for a few short hours. You're working your way through the top here. These things are gold for experience. They're gold for literally what they're giving you in terms of building up your capability to do expeditions. And that is what you really want to do. You want to really face off against this part of the game. Now, as I said, I did start this off with a massive criticism of the game dev. So, hope you all did enjoy, and catch you all in the next one.